The String Revolution is a Grammy-winning guitar trio blending rock, world, classical, and cinematic sounds into an all-guitar instrumental powerhouse. Formed in LA in 2015 by Janet Robin, Randy Rhoads' only female student, along with Markus Illko and Robair Luis, they create rich, adventurous tracks with intricate melodies and virtuosic playing. Fresh off their Grammy for Folsom Prison Blues with Tommy Emmanuel, their new single, West of Spaghetti, is an imaginative instrumental inspired by classic film scores. Janet's also busy with solo projects and more boundary-pushing guitar work. Now here's the Trout with Janet Robin of the String Revolution. Enjoy!
You spend a lot of time helping students
Yeah.
become better. And that's got to be real rewarding. I like working with young independent artists that are just coming up, and I see them as they get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Mhm.
And that's got to be rewarding for you to see. Because I know from years ago, a friend of mine was a guitar teacher in Kansas City, and he was a sight reader. He was a phenomenal classic player. And I said, how many? I think he had 70 students. And I said, how many of those are talented? That's what he did for a living.
Okay, yeah.
And he said, 3.
Right, yeah.
So you see a lot of people, but it also has to be rewarding for you to be able to help them out and get to the next level.
It is, and it has. But I've also noticed, I'm pivoting a little bit more now and taking on less and less students, purely because I do want to work more with people who are serious. They don't have to be pros, but just take it serious. And if they're kids, they have to be a certain age, and they too also have to be, serious about it. I was serious about it. I started at six, 7.
Hmm.
I got super serious when I took lessons from Randy at 9. So you're 100%, you're 100% correct about it. Doesn't matter what age you are.
Yeah.
You can tell when kids or adults are serious about something. So my rates, I raised my rates kind of extraordinarily high for that reason,
Hmm.
and to kind of weed out the non-serious. Um, it wasn't that before I didn't want to inspire non-serious people. I did, but I'm kind of pivoting now because I want to spend more time actually making music, and I've been
Yeah.
producing a lot and composing and doing other projects. So I have a good solid group of students now, maybe 10 or something like that. They're all talented. And that's not to say that years before, I also had some very talented students, and one of them actually went on to get their master's degree
Mm.
in classical guitar at USC. So he went to Pepperdine, then he went to SC on a scholarship, and he's that good. He still plays rock and roll, but he got really fascinated and turned on by classical music. So, I mean, he ended up studying at Pepperdine with like Christopher Parkening. I don't
Mm.
know if you know who that is, but
Yeah, I've heard of him.
yeah, he's like one of the best classical, guitarists in the world at the moment. Um, so that's Garrett Podgorski. You should look him up. He's amazing, and he's out there doing his own stuff now. He's releasing his own stuff, and I started with him when he was like 9 or 10.
Wow.
And I could see it. I could see it with him. There was no messing around with this kid. And he came to every lesson prepared, and he'd gotten better week by week. He was just really until he really didn't need me anymore
Hmm.
on that level. Like we did do some recording together. We kind of moved into recording and doing his own record and solo stuff, and then he got interested in classical, and I don't teach that, so he went to a different teacher, and then that's where it kind of took off for him. But yes, it is very rewarding. We don't have children either. And so, at that time it was sort of like, look at my kid, look at my
Yeah.
kid. But I also feel that way about some of my older students and my adults who are just, the ones who are serious about it, they're just so happy, like they find so much joy in getting better at something, and it's like our self-esteem, I think, as humans, that never goes away.
Mm.
You want it. You want to instill it when you're younger, in a child,
Yeah.
because I think
Yep.
it's a survival skill that you need, as a kid. But, you also need it as you grow older. Everybody wants to feel good about themselves. And if you find something that really makes you feel good about yourself and you want to work at it, I think it doesn't matter what age you're at. If you just get joy out of it and you want to work at it and you want to get better and better. I have a 70-year-old student, maybe a little bit older, and he just loves it, and he flew me out to his 70th birthday party.
That's cool.
And actually, he is 70. I don't know what I'm talking about. He just turned 70.
Right.
He flew me out because for his birthday, he wanted to have a jam session. And he's like, I want to fly you out. I want to pay you. I'm going to put you up. I want you to sort of facilitate the jam. And he set up this whole thing in his garage,
A
like
garage band, of course, a
yeah,
garage band. Yeah.
garage band. And he had a
Yeah.
PA and he had all the gear there. He had a drum set and he had friends that were, decent players. And
Right.
he's like, I don't know what we're going to play. We'll just look it up on the iPad or whatever. And, all these cats got up and, I had to move sometimes to playing bass because there weren't a lot of bass players. So I was going back and forth and I was just jamming with him. And you could just see the joy on his face, of just like, I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm 70. Well, I don't know what he's thinking. I can't read his mind.
No,
I
I
just
understand.
looked like that. He was so happy. And I told his name is Hamish. I said, Hamish, you're sounding really good today. You've gotten better. I met him at Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp because he was
Mm-hmm.
he was in one of my bands I was mentoring. And I said, you've gotten better since camp, which was just a few months prior. He's like, oh, since camp, I've been at it. I've been playing almost every day. And I'm like, I can really tell a difference. So, yeah. I think that's the great thing about teaching in any field, mind you.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I mean,
You know,
that's yeah.
we
I
are we are we are here anyway as humans to teach everybody. We're here to share our experiences and help people and teach everybody. That
well,
said, like,
and
go ahead.
what I was going to say was I don't have the patience for it. I mean, now I tried years ago, and students would come and go, I want to play like that. I want to because I had my Les Paul. That's my '87 back here. I've got several of them, but I said I want to play so I could play that guitar, and I'm going like, no, that's not like that. That's not the way it works,
Yeah, yeah,
you
no.
know.
Um,
And it's and it's like, okay, here's a C, and there's a
yeah,
well, and of course you got it's like anything else. And they'd come in and I'd say, what do you want to learn how to play? And at that time it was Stevie Ray or whatever, and I said, okay, and I listened to it. How do you know how to do that? How can you figure that out so quick? I said, because I've been playing for decades. I
right,
mean,
right.
come on, it's like
You
we
know,
can,
my approach is really, it's like I approach it very like straight, I'm just like, look, if you want to get good, you got to practice, there's no way around it.
true.
So, and then I just tell them, look, I'm getting paid anyway, so it's up to you.
Yep,
you know,
yep,
and I can help you get good, but it's not me. I'm not doing the work. I'm doing the work for this hour, and then the rest of
yeah.
the week is on you, buddy. So, and then I also try to be humorous, in the lessons, and because humor always like relaxes people. And I
Well, and
do give,
you're a producer now, and
I
part of the being a producer is how to deal with people without pissing them off.
mentally and emotionally, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you want to inspire the person, and instead of critiquing like in a negative way, I critique in a a funny way that can is slightly negative if they're not sounding good. Just sort
right.
of like I just say like, what was that? Because that really sucked, and they just laugh. And I say that to kids and
Yeah,
adults, and they're
yeah.
just like, yeah, you're right, it did kind of suck.
And
And I'm
they
like,
know, they
yeah,
know.
exactly. And I'm like, yeah, it did suck. So here's how you get better. Let me show you, and then we'll do reps. and I'll show them how to practice correctly, because that's really what it is. And I always say it's up to you. You want to get better faster, you practice more.
Yeah.
If you don't have so much time, because we're all busy with things, that's fine too. If you have no time to practice, that's also okay. You can come to the lesson every week, and
Yeah.
that's a practice. You won't get good faster, but you'll still get
Yeah.
good. Just slower.
I
Yeah.
was always a believer that if you join a band, you usually get better, especially if you're playing out live. Even I
Yeah.
started playing in bands when I was eighth grade. I don't remember what it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Me
and,
too.
and you don't want to suck. I mean, you do,
Yeah.
but it's like you're gonna get better. So then you're like, okay, I got to get better because I'm playing in front of somebody.
Well,
And
I do tell them ultimately when I feel like they're ready for that to find a jam partner, right? If they can find some people or a person to jam with, and if possible, people who are better than you. Surround yourself with players who are
yep,
better than you. Now, if you don't have any of that, go to an open mic. If
yep,
you're a singer and a songwriter and you've never been on stage before, take yourself to open mic.
yeah,
Just do it, and I'll get you ready for it. I'll get you ready as I can,
right.
and then go. Because I used to go to open mics all the time, like four nights in a row. I would go when I was starting out doing my own, singer songwriter
Well,
type of thing.
that's how you get better. It's kind of like golf. Golf is you. Playing guitar, learning how to play guitar is you.
It
You
is.
you have to do
It,
it on your own and have to get better at it. But I
it,
also believe you're born with a certain amount of it, and only you can make it better.
okay, so yes and no to your question, not question to your comment. Only because my experience is a little bit different because I'm a woman, and I'm not trying to play the gender card here, but in the 80s, um, it was a little bit different back then. For the most part, if you were good, you were good. It didn't matter
Hmm.
how old you were, if you were a girl or if you were a guy. But there was a lot of assumptions, especially back then. If you were a girl, you didn't play well.
I,
So
I,
if you got on the stage with a guy who was good, you immediately got before you even fucking played one note. Excuse my language. Um, you got the once over.
oh yeah, the
You know,
look.
and then they would fire off gear questions.
Oh
To kind of put you through, like, well, what pickups are you using? What strings? Like
yeah,
to see if you knew what the shit, what shit you're playing,
and probably never ask any of their other friends the same questions because
no.
they probably wouldn't know. I mean, they probably go, "Yeah, I never thought of that."
Now and now, if no, you wouldn't, because your experience through life has been different. And that's totally fine. I'm just trying to educate people a little bit. Now sometimes people would get on stage with me and they knew I had taken lessons from Randy, so there was no discussion about anything.
Yeah,
Um, and I didn't sound like Randy. I didn't play like him, but I had the chops. I had my own chops, and so there was respect there. For the most part, in my career, it's been respectful, even with major players like Lindsey Buckingham, people I
hmm,
big respect. But there were times where, yeah, I was put through the ringer like that, or I would hear things after a show. Man, you play so good for a girl. Like that's just crazy. I've never seen a girl play like you before. You play guitar like a guy. And I'm like, is that like a backhanded compliment?
I think it is. There for
Yeah.
a while, I was looking for women bass players, and I would interview them because I thought it was just really cool because you just don't see very many of them. Let me change gears because I am a huge. I grew up watching spaghetti westerns.
Good pivot.
Ennio Morricone was one of my favorite all-time composers, and he wrote a lot of great movies. So when I got word from your PR person, what was the first thing I thought was, okay, what was the preface for you guys to do something in that vein with that kind of feel to it? Because all that music at that time had that feel to it. Of course, most is all it did, but what kind of drove you three into making that decision?
It's funny how the string revolution works. It's just like often we'll get together when we're composing or writing together. We're literally just playing shit, just jamming. And I think it was Robair that was sort of playing this dun 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 dun, 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 kind of this waltzy type of thing. And he's from Cuba, so it had this like Latin flair,
Yeah,
some
yeah.
kind of thing, And then I started playing that melody, and the two of us looked at each other and we're like, it's kind of got that like Ennio. I mean, we're complimenting ourselves, but big time.
Yeah,
Well. First of all, we're both all three of us are Ennio fans,
yeah, right.
and I'm also a Gustavo Santaolalla fan, and he's another composer that uses guitar, steel string guitar, slide, Tarango, which is Tarango is on West of Spaghetti, um, and so the two of them are like my two of my favorite composers. And that sort of minimalistic sound, very
Yeah,
melodic, nothing fancy per se, right? That you would think of in guitar music. So Robert and I started jamming, and then Markus joined us like a week later because he couldn't come to that writing session, and he's like, "What about Tarango? What do you think?" And I was like, yeah. you know. So he's got a beautiful tarango. It's a string instrument from Peru, and he just started. We wanted an intro, and so he started playing this, dun, 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 this arpeggio thing, and it was
yeah.
just wow, and it just like thematically all came together that way. It was pretty organic. We didn't sit down and it was like we didn't sit down and was like, let's write an Ennio sounding
Oh
song.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. We didn't do that. And I think pretty much all of String Revolution stuff is like that. Like sometimes I might come in with an idea of like, let's cover this song. What do you think? And then, but the thing is that sometimes we'll try a cover, and it's not clicking. It's not working.
Oh, I got
So
it.
you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
other times we'll just be jamming, and I might bring up hey, what about this song? Or this song that we just did ourselves. This is an original. This came purely out of a jam session, just feeling in that moment what was going on. Actually, it was here, I think, and we were just jamming, and there's something to that, all your I don't believe in like it coming out of from like ooh, like new age, I mean nothing against that, there's no crystal ball. I feel like when you jam together, you're feeding off energy of each
yes,
other's
yes, you
and
are.
and each other's musical background. It's all
Correct.
like it's like a library in your head, a musical library. And when you get with somebody else, your card catalog starts going fucking crazy.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
like, it's filing through all the different musical influences
yeah.
you grew up with. And when you get with somebody else, it is an energetic thing that I believe in, but that's scientific. You're feeding off of each other's backgrounds, and all three of us we couldn't come from more different backgrounds, of
That's true.
of
That is
of,
that is true. Yeah,
of culture and of musical inspirations.
yeah.
And then you get this mix, and I'm not going to say it sounds exactly like a Morricone film soundtrack. It doesn't, nor should it. You know, we didn't cover a song of his. We just were thinking in that vein. It just like came up, and it does have a little bit of that sound.
Yeah, I had some. Yeah,
A little bit.
I think the problem is if you're going to cover him, you have to play it just like him.
You do because
You
it's so
can't. You can't.
nostalgic. No, you can't
It's
go
like
around.
playing Beatles song. It's like you
Right.
knew every lead break. Okay, if you're going to play whatever it is from him,
Right.
okay, this part's coming in. All right, where's that part with that funky little thing going on there? And you're like, okay, because he was an interesting composer. I
He
mean,
was
as
a
far as that whole segment, not to get into this too much, but that
God.
whole genre of movies was just interesting because it was closer to me, I think, than it probably was, because during that time, all the movies that came out, westerns from Americans, were all people that had teeth, had gone to the dentist, had white and bright teeth. They put all this stuff on to make them look dirty, but then their teeth would shine. And you're like, oh, okay. So we get this Italian director to come in, films in Spain with Italian that can't speak English, and look like they should look in westerns.
Exactly.
And then you throw in the stuff with the funky. I mean, I still remember watching The Good, Bad, and the Ugly when it first came out. I was just a kid, and yeah, but it wasn't that so much as some of the other songs
I
in
know.
there
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
just
Well,
moved you so much, and you're like,
Sergio Leone,
yeah,
right? And
Sergio Leone, yeah, yeah,
yeah, and Ennio Morricone. Yeah, I mean, I think their idea of American westerns was way more accurate.
probably,
You know, and he literally created a genre, a cultural genre, like it's so, like that's sort of Western music, it's not country music, like,
yeah, yeah,
like that you think of something else when you hear country
yeah,
music,
yeah.
so yeah, I mean, again, we didn't cover a song of his. I think we're sort of composing and arranging in a little bit more cinematic way. We wanted it to have
Hmm.
this kind of sonic landscape, this sort of bigger-ish sound without sounding big. That's what Gustavo Santaolalla does.
Mm.
If you listen to some of his, like Brokeback Mountain and The Last of Us, which was the latest thing he did, on the video game and the show on
Mm.
TV, it's like guitar or charango and like strings, like that's it. It's
Yeah,
like it's very minimalistic, and it just evokes this emotion and feeling with the less is more kind of thing. So we were trying to go for that, and I love the piece. I love the piece. We have another original piece coming out, very different. That's going to come out in a few months, or maybe 3 months or so after this next song that we have coming out, which is completely different from this one.
yeah,
And I don't give a shit. The String Revolution is about making music, making good music, exploring music with our guitars, and doing things differently in arrangements. So, if you go to our Spotify, we're all over the place. I mean, it is what it is, but it's still String Revolution sound because it's the three of us, or in the earlier days, it was the four of us, and we still had that core sound of these guitars covering, one covers a bass line, one covers a lead line, one covers a rhythm line, or is the percussive thing. And that was always what I wanted to do when I put this band together. I didn't want to just have some kind of instrumental dental office music, no offense, but we're probably on a playlist, and now I just got us off that playlist. But yeah,
dental office.
right.
I'll
And
look that up.
yeah, listen, and I come from a family of dentists, so I can say that because my dad was a dentist, and so is my brother, and so is my nephew. But anyway, yeah. So our next song we're doing is a cover, but it's unusual. It's a video game theme song from a very very popular early 2000s video game called Plants vs. Zombies. Funny name. And we did this theme song, and it's real quirky sounding, and it was written by this woman in Japan named Laura Shigiara, and she does video game music in that sort of, quirky way.
Yeah.
And the story goes real quickly is that this video game theme song really inspired Billie Eilish and Phineas to write a big hit, which was called Bad Guy. And when you hear the theme song from that game, you
Hmm.
can, and then you play Bad Guy, which was a big song for them.
Yeah.
You can kind of hear, like, they didn't rip it off. It's just sort of like, oh my God, I can totally hear that,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So our producer, who became our producer, Steve Schnur, he works for EA Games, which is
Yeah. I've heard of him. Yeah.
yeah,
Big time. Yeah.
big time. He's the president of the music division there. He approached us after we won the Grammy, and with this idea, and he's like, I have this idea, I have this vision, and he's like, and I'm friends with Billie and her team, And I think if you mashed the theme song from that video game with Bad Guy in the String Revolution way as an instrumental track, it would be amazing. And we're like, yes, the weirder the better, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I knew nothing about that game. I'm not a gamer. I did end up playing it. I finally got it, and it's fun to play. And we cut it, and it's came out amazing. And he also had the idea of featuring some cello on it, and so we got this amazing cello player, Tina Guo. And do you know
Oh,
Tina?
oh, I'd love to interview her. I'd love to talk to her.
Oh, I'll try to get you
I
together.
mean, I know her because she plays with that some guy that writes movies called Zimmer or something.
Yeah,
You know what I
Hans
mean?
Zimmer. Yeah, some
Yeah.
guy.
Well, who is that guy?
I don't know who
No,
he
I
is.
follow her on Instagram.
Okay,
I
so
want
she
to.
she
Yeah, I
is
know
a
exactly who she
badass.
is. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
she's fucking badass.
she's in Paris this week. By the way, I can tell you.
Yeah, she's awesome. So she
I
came
sound
down
like
to
a stalker now. Anyway.
no. She's so great. She came down to the studio and cut some amazing, cello parts just like in an hour.
Mm.
Hi and then bye. But we kind of had some camaraderie because she's also metal queen. She loves metal. And when she found out I studied with Randy, she was fascinated by that. And so we ended up going out and having lunch together and talking about the business and stuff. But so it's the String Revolution covering the Plants vs. Zombies theme mashed with Bad Guy. We go into the riff of Bad Guy from Billy and Phineas, and Tina playing over it. So
What's
that's
the
what
name
we.
of the tune? What's the tune?
It's called Bad Zombies.
All right, so let's go back to
Yeah.
West of Spaghetti.
Okay. I just had to
No,
tell
no,
you.
no. I'm going to get to that another one in a second.
Yeah.
So when you guys are doing this, you guys get together. Do you have a goal of we need to do something to release, or is it just get through jamming and you go like, we're just having a
Yeah.
good time, and then somebody goes, hey, maybe we should put this out. Is it
Okay.
more like that, or how does that
So
all work?
it was more like that before we
Okay.
met our new manager.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You always gotta have a ringleader to whip you into shape.
Right.
So we have also a ton of other ideas, but he's like, so you haven't released anything since America last year, and we're like, yeah, we're just yeah, so and because we're not. I mean, I think we do think like, oh, we should release something. It's been a long time, but we're not. Managers are different. They're just and they're like, well,
Yeah.
why you have songs finished? Yeah, yeah, we've got some. And they're like, oh, he's like, okay, well, why don't you finish them? Like completely get them mixed and mastered. And we're like, okay, no, yes, you're going to release a song every 5 weeks.
Mm. Yeah.
So he put us on this schedule, and we had, the songs were basically done. We had to clean up a few things, and we finally got them mixed. And so sometimes you do need that ringleader. But to answer your question, no. I mean, we don't get together unless it's absolutely necessary, and we're like somebody gives us a project like Bad Zombies that was given
Yeah.
to us. Um, that said, we've been wanting to do a holiday record for a long time, and our manager brought that up, and we were like, oh, we kind of started that like 3 years ago, and he's like, well, and we're like, well, and he's like, finish it, finish the album, it's like you don't have to do a whole album. How about an EP?
Yeah.
How about
Just
six
even.
songs? Finish 6 songs,
Yeah.
get them recorded, get them all done, and let's get it out and done by October, and let's release it in November. And we're like, okay, so you gotta, you know, round up all the musicians and all the work that you're doing, and that's why you
Yeah.
have management sometimes. So we don't normally sit down and say, we have to release this in July. Let's right now go.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't work like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and the second movie, the
Yeah.
bad zombie thing. I listen to that. I mean, when you're talking about that, I think about when you got the quality of players that you work with.
Mhm.
The advantage that you have that your students don't have is the fact that you can make phone calls to people that they can never do that. And so you're playing with some of the great players. I mean, all three of you are great. So that's part of it. And you can feed off each other.
Yeah,
That's the
for
one
sure.
thing I miss. I don't have a band anymore. My wife says, and I said, I just don't want to it's just too much of a, you know what I mean?
Well,
I would
it's not
rather
easy.
just sit, I'd rather play with people I could jam with. I mean, I've threatened this over the years because I've interviewed such great people. And everyone I ask, I say, okay, I want to put an album out or music out where I'm going to write it. And then each one of you kind of add stuff to it. Like slide player, you do that,
Okay.
you do
Yeah.
that. Okay.
Yeah. That's
They
great.
all say yes. And then I sit back and go, well, how am I going to write a song that's good enough for everybody? You know what I mean? It's just, it's something I got to mentally overcome to go, okay, because I know they're not going to go, no, that sucks, Rick. They're just going to go, well, maybe you could do better, just like you do when you're producing. But
Well, I
I mean,
mean,
but my point is this: you're working with people that already understand what needs to be done. So when you start feeding off each other, I mean, when you did the thing in Cash Cabin, you were feeding off each other.
oh, for
And
sure.
then you bring a little guy named Tommy in that you're sitting there going, okay, what is he doing? Okay, wait a minute, I can't, what am I going to do? Just, all of a
Well,
sudden,
he was blind when he came in. Honestly, he hadn't heard our demo because we did have a demo. I don't think
oh,
his
okay.
manager ever played it for him. And when he came in, we played him the arrangement that we had already recorded, and he loved it. So he's like, okay, so you want me to do the melody, the main melody? And we're like, yeah, we do need that melody in there because it is Folsom, so people need
Yeah.
to know the song. But then, then go ahead and do your Tommy thing, do whatever you fucking want. And it was
Yeah.
literally with that song, I think we ended up using mostly his first take. I mean, he's that good.
Yeah.
And I know that he knew this song too because I saw him jamming on it on a YouTube video with a bunch of other great players. That exact song. He played it different on ours because we had totally different arrangement,
Yeah.
completely different. So and he had no idea that that was going to get nominated and win. He didn't know us. He remembered me. He said
Oh yeah,
when
I remember you telling me that story.
yeah, I think he remembered me because I
Yeah.
opened for him once, a long time
Yeah.
ago in
Yeah.
Prague.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he never heard of the String Revolution. He wanted to go to Cash Cabin, and he wanted to meet John Carter Cash.
Well, nothing wrong with that.
No, I mean he tells the story that way when we went on the road with him and when we sit in with him on that song on occasion. He tells exactly the truth, and it's just really funny because you just never know how things are going to happen or work
No,
out.
I think going into studio or anytime you're recording, I saw the picture of you sitting at what's the name of the studio you're just working in, and we're gonna
Oh,
get
the
to that in a
Village
second.
yesterday. Yeah, I was there all day. Yeah.
Do you remember when you were young and you'd go and see pictures of the board
Yeah,
or the
it
disc?
was
You were
intimidating.
like, "Oh my God, how do you
Yeah,
know all this stuff?"
it was really intimidating.
It was
But
like,
but what people don't know is each strip is the
yeah,
same.
it's all the same.
Yeah, it's the
So
same.
when I went to the
It's just a
studio
lot
and
of
it's just a lot of duplicate things.
yeah,
But all that compression stuff and all that stuff that a real engineer knows how to do, I can do
yeah,
some of it, but it's like, no, I'm not that good. But
yeah.
I saw a picture and I thought, oh, I remember doing those days. And I sat there and go, oh my God, look at this. And then you realize, wait a minute, they're all the same
They're all
things.
the same. Yeah, I mean those. A lot of those days aren't happening. But that pivoting, if you want for a second, is with an artist I'm working with right
Yes, that's
now.
what I do want to talk about her.
Yeah, and she's amazing. And she came out of being a student of mine. And she was coming and going, just not regularly. She just wanted to get better with her skills. And she's a pro. She makes her living.
What's her name? I saw it, but I forgot her name.
Yes, her name is Erin Alyssa.
Yeah, I knew it started with the Aaron
Yeah,
Alyssa.
Erin Alyssa. And um, she was always a good student and good singer. And it was always mostly her own songs, but she did do covers. But she is a working musician. She plays about 200 gigs a year, if not more.
I want to talk to her too. Obviously, you know
I,
her, so I want to
you,
set that up because
She's a badass, and she is the epitome of a working musician. I mean, wineries, you know, venues, funerals, you
got
know,
it, got it.
programs, whatever, and she's trained, a trained singer. She went to musical theater university somewhere in
Yeah,
Rochester or somewhere.
yeah.
She's a badass. And when she approached me about producing, She had come out of a very abusive producing situation with somebody else.
Yeah,
And
what a surprise. Yeah.
yeah, and it was bad, and it was like, and he charged her all this money for,
Oh yeah. Yep, yep, yep.
it was just, I'm like, wait a minute, this doesn't sound right. And she's like, I don't like how it came out, and I like the work you've done. I've never worked with you. I don't know how you work. And I'm like, well, you don't know how I work until we work together, So
True.
come on down. And it was literally like that first session, we were laughing, we were getting some great ideas, we were finishing each other's sentences. I mean, it was literally like, okay, we have the same vision for this song. That was
Yeah.
one song. And then that came out. It was called Jacaranda Trees because, she got super inspired, sadly, by losing everything in the LA fire.
Oh, she's
Everything.
another one. She lost another one.
She lost everything. Her apartment building
And I
burned
got
down.
to tell you, I know what a jacaranda because there is a song by Yes that he
Oh, yeah,
actually mentioned.
Jacaranda.
Yeah, he does
I
mention that
think,
because I
yeah, I
thought
kind of remember that.
it's
Yeah, I
yeah it's
remember that song. Which song is that? Yeah, I kind
I
of
don't
remember.
know, but there is one because I remember he actually talks about it, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking, okay, now I know. When I heard the title, I thought, oh, I know what that is. I don't know what it
Yeah,
is, but I know what it is. I've never seen
well,
one.
yeah, so I guess it is a tree, or some kind of tree like that near where her apartment building burned down.
But where does she?
And
Okay, so this is off the subject, but what is she doing? Where does she
so
live?
so she lost everything, and I mean everything but her car and the clothes she had on
Mm,
that day. So all of her instruments, photos, computer, everything. She found a place, in
yeah,
Santa Monica.
I don't mean physically, but I mean she's.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that day for, a few weeks she stayed with friends or whatever, or a
Yeah,
hotel, but she ended up uh, finding a new place, a guest house, that also has a studio. I think Guy's a musician as well, and she
that's
lives in
good.
Santa Monica now. But I also helped her get some of her guitars replaced by some of my connections at Fender and Taylor, um, and whatnot. But um, I think what it did for her was just really reignite her original music bug. And we did that one song, and then she sent me all her demos of these other songs, and I was like, what the fuck, man? These are great.
Yeah.
Aaron, you've been holding back on me, because I'd known her for several years, but just as a student. And she's like, well, I really think that this would be good, this next one, and I want live drums on it. I don't want to like program drums. I want real drummer. And so that's coming out next July 2nd, and that features Danny Fongheiser, who's a great drummer. I mean, he's played with Tracy Chapman, Hart, you name it. He's badass, and I know him from being in a musical with him. So he played live drums to it. My friend Jen Oberly played bass on it, and I'm doing all the guitars, and she's singing, and we produced it here, in my studio. And it just one song led to the next and the next, and then she had a trio of really, like, three really organic sounding, just emotive songs. And I was like, you know what? This would sound great if we actually tracked live all together. And she's like, what's that? Because nobody does that.
No, how would she know?
No, no,
How would she
exactly.
know? Yeah.
And I said, I mean, like in a real like recording studio where we're all playing at the same time,
Same
and you're in a
time.
booth singing, and we're all. And she's like, I've never done that before. I was like, yeah, no joke, nobody does that anymore,
No.
unless you have a label paying for it, or it's a specific sound you want. And I said, this is a specific sound that I want, and I'm hearing it, and I think it's going to be great to cut it together because it brings out a certain feeling in the songs. And she said, let's do it. I'll get the money together, and I'll make it happen. And I've worked at the Village before, and know the manager, and she's real respectful of the String Revolution, and she gave us just a great rate, like
Hmm.
insanely great rate. And my friend Lanice Bent, I've been wanting to work with her for a long time. She's a Grammy-nominated engineer, one of the first women in the business to actually ever get like a platinum album. I mean, that's the
What's her
iconic.
name? What's her
Her
name?
name is Lenice,
Okay.
Lenise Bent. And I mean, she worked on Asia. She worked on Blonde, Steely Dan, Blondie records, all these, so she's a bit older, but she's I mean, not that much older than me. She started really young, and she's one of the few women badasses out there who knows her shit.
Yeah.
So I was like, we got to hire Lenice. We need because you often get an engineer with your rate, and I know they have good engineers, but not like this one.
Yeah.
So Lenice joined, also gave a really good discount, and we had this team. And I found the musicians, and we used Jen again and Dan Petrucci and myself. And, we had no rehearsal. They just had demos, and we all showed up, and we cut 3 songs in one day. And we just did the backing tracks, the basic tracks.
You're right.
And yesterday we started on the vocals. So that's
that's right. You did say that. And you
yeah.
mentioned her, and you had somebody else in there that you mentioned on your Instagram post.
Yeah, Lenice. Yeah, Lenice was there again. So it was me, Lenice, and Aaron, and we were working. We were able to get 2 songs done. Of course, done meaning cut.
No, I know what you mean.
We have to edit them.
Yeah.
But we have one more song to do, and then tomorrow night we're doing harmonica, and so these next 3 songs are just so good. I think I'm going to submit one to the Grammys. It's that good.
Oh.
Well, I'm saying it's that good. I co-produced it.
Yeah, I think the thing, but I'm going back to what I said earlier.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I interview people that are famous, okay, there's always, not always, there's still a lot of self-doubt about their musical ability.
Yeah, every artist has that.
We all have that.
And
I'll say, do you know why so-and-so played on this? No, not really. I said, because you don't suck.
Right.
You're really good at what you do. So what do people, in fact, somebody's told me one time I should put t-shirts that say, you don't suck on it, and just sell those shirts. But I said, the thing, it's just like you can pick up the phone and call people that are exceptionally good at what they do.
Yeah.
But the other part of that is knowing you as well as I do. I've never met you in person, but I pretty well figure out how you work. They're going to have to be nice people too. They can't be dicks.
Absolutely. No, they
can't be hard asses. They got to be people you can work with. Let's have a good time when they're here and enjoy what we do. And at the end, if it's creative and it works out really well, which probably most of the time it does, because if you got the material, people work together. It homogenizes into one thing.
100%.
And so then you get this thing, and like you said, it's that good.
It's that good. The song, but it always starts with the song. And so her songs are that good, but this one called In the End, I love so much. Not only are her songs good, but she's such a good singer. So it's really hard when, sometimes it's one or the other that's, something's lacking.
True.
But there's nothing lacking between the singer and the song. So my job as producing with her is to just bring the best elements out of that song and the best vocal performance out of that song, not overproduce it, and make sure these performances that we're putting down, are the song is telling us what it wants. Don't put your shit on there, just don't sit on it and take a crap everywhere. Sorry for the imagery. But it's just
the thing though.
Yeah, it's the thing.
I can see you in there doing this, because the other thing, and we all know this by doing music.
Right.
Overdoing it. Hey, I think I can add this to it. I think I could change it. Let me go back and take that track. And then it's like I always felt that Mick Jagger and Keith Richards go, so that's it, mate. Yeah, that's it. Let's go.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah, it's like, okay, yeah, let's try electric kazoo. Okay, let's double the electric kazoo. Let's double it. And then now let's put a wah-wah on it,
Yeah, let's put some delay on it.
If you're going to have a particular special sound in there, it's got to do something, so you otherwise don't have it. If it's there and it's doing something and you're like, whoa, that's fucking cool, then it belongs. But you always listen to the song. The song will tell you what it wants. Yeah. So I've always tried to produce from that, and I think I learned that from Lindsay.
Well, his song, any of the stuff that Fleetwood Mac did, and even his stuff, I mean, come on. Big Love and all that stuff that he does, singles, and comes out, does the little riff things down there. They're not complicated. I'm not saying the stuff's not. The song melodies are easy.
Rhiannon is 2 chords.
Yeah, it's 2 chords.
I
mean, but I think the thing about the song is, I remember somebody telling me this back in the 80s when I was in a band. A young man came in and he says, you play the hard stuff for you, the easy stuff for the crowds, because the crowds don't know anything about music. They just listen and go, this is what we like.
Yeah.
And they're not sitting around going, "Hey, was that a D diminished sixth chord
No.
on there?" They don't do that.
I know, and I don't even read music, so
Right.
I
They
wouldn't.
don't care.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean,
Well,
I know
and she and
sports.
Erin reminds me. I interviewed a young ladies out of Nashville called July Moon, angels singing. They haven't
Yeah,
made it big, and I asked them. I said, I always ask. I ask them offline, why haven't you made it big yet? And they always say the same thing. We don't know. Can you help us? But one of the ladies in there did exactly what Erin does. She works on Broadway all the time. That's what she does all week long.
yeah,
The two
yeah.
head jobs, I think. But she's the one that says, that's what I do. I go in at 10 o'clock and I get done at 2 o'clock in the morning and I go back and do it again the next.
Exactly,
It
exactly.
pays
Yeah,
the bills.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
told my wife, I said, I was telling her I was interviewing you, and I said, you don't have to be famous to make a lot of money. You just need to make enough money to live on and
Exactly.
and
Yeah,
be happy what you do.
I'm very happy with, I'm happy I'm paying my bills all through music. I'm not a household name. That's fine. And the people who do know me respect me. And I just want to put out quality work and be excited and jacked up about creating and putting out great stuff. And
Yeah.
that excitement about, God, man, you got to hear this song. It's like if that goes away or you're not in it for that reason, you're in it for the wrong reasons.